Hello there, it's Tania Gabrielle, Wealth Astro-Numerologist. Welcome to Star Codes, the forecast where we look at an upcoming event in the stars and numbers, the astrology and the numerology. And in this case, it's a major weekend coming up, and I'm sure you're feeling the shift already. It actually begins, we have a preview of it on March 22nd, and then it comes to a head on March 29th and 30th. Oh my God, this is big. One of the biggest weekends of the year. And what I'm talking about is the Aries solar eclipse, the second of two eclipses, followed hours later by Neptune moving into the same sign of Aries. And Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, so this is a major new beginning. An Aries solar eclipse is a new moon eclipse to begin with. So we are talking about a major shift. So let's look at the code first for the eclipse. It takes place on the 29th of March. 29 reduces to 11. 11 is double one, double new beginnings, and it's a portal. The eclipse is at 9 degrees, which is the last single digit number, 1 through 9, and means endings. And we are in a 9 universal year in 2025. So that already shows you new moon eclipse happening on the 29th, which is 11, double new beginnings, everything new. And then we got the double 9 as well, ending. So shift, shift, shift. So it happens at 12:57 p.m. Universal Time. That's London. That's 7:57 a.m. Eastern New York and 4:57 a.m. Pacific LA. And the date for the eclipse, 3/29/2025, adds up to a 23, which is the royal star of the lion number. And interestingly enough, 23, 2 plus 3, adds up to 5. And 5 is the middle digit from 1 through 9. So it's at a pivot. It faces left, it faces right, it sits on a rocker, and it literally means you have come to the top of the mountain and you're deciding, making a lot of decisions about which path to take, how to get back down. So we have an incredible numerology code, and of course the same meaning takes place in the stars, in the astrology. So the ruler of Aries is Mars, and Mars is all about starting fresh. It is confident, it is fiery, it forges ahead with a lot of independence and courage. And Mars is very much strengthened in this eclipse because Mars is trying to Saturn. And even though Mars is in Cancer right now, it's been in Cancer since September with a short jaunt into Leo due to the retrograde. So it's been in Cancer a long, long time, much longer than the usual 6 weeks due to that long retrograde. But Cancer is not a sign that Mars feels that comfortable in. In fact, Mars is somewhat weakened in Cancer. However, this trine to Saturn really helps to strengthen Mars, and it will help to bring lasting results. Remember, this is the ruler of the eclipse and the ruler of the sign that Neptune is going into. And with this trine that Mars is creating to Saturn, it bodes well for really starting something that will bring you a long-lasting and very encouraging result. Now, Venus and Neptune are also trine to Mars, the ruler, and that brings a lot of love and charm and beauty and good feelings. And we're going to talk more about Venus and Neptune shortly because there's a lot going on between these two planets. Now, Pluto is sextile to the eclipse, and that will very much enhance empowerment after you see whatever you need to see, because Pluto does uncover things, and the eclipse, of course, creates a shadow which reveals something that you need to see that may have been overshadowed previously. Mercury is in retrograde at 0 degrees Aries, and that is actually the first degree of the zodiac and the degree that Neptune will be entering. So that actually means that patience is vital. Now, Mars, the ruler of Aries and the ruler of this eclipse, is square to Chiron, which is in Aries, and that really enhances the motivation and courage aspect of it, but squares also create tension, so there's a lot of healing, and the healing is learning to express anger or hostility or force in a healthy way. because Mars becomes a real spiritual force when connected to Chiron. And since there's a square, though, you want to know how to use the right amount of energy or force in any situation. So Mars square Chiron really asks you to consciously and consistently take practical action that makes a deep healing impact and imprint at soul level. Now, Mars is also sextile to Uranus. So you can see Mars is making a lot of aspects, and that actually means that this eclipse is hugely empowering and encouraging to you. And that sextile to Uranus, the ruler of the new age of Aquarius, is quite significant. Mars rules Aries, Uranus rules Aquarius. These are compatible signs, and there will be a great intensification of your creativity and a yearning for freedom and independence. So you want to feel free to act on your intuition, and a lot of quick decisions can be made as well. They can empower you. Your enthusiasm is really, really heightened. Now let's look at Neptune, because Neptune figures into this Aries eclipse in a really big way, because it begins its new journey around the zodiac at 0 degrees Aries hours later on March 30th. And that is 165 years since Neptune took that same journey. So it's been a long time. Now with Neptune in Aries, Mars' sign, Mars being the planet of action and energy, there's a rebirth of spiritual energy. Aries is definitely faster moving than Pisces, where Neptune is coming from. So it's a very different energy from Neptune's home sign, the final sign of the zodiac, Pisces. Neptune is very watery and spiritual and very empathetic and compassionate. And that means that you will use your intuition a lot more prior to acting, which is the Aries side of things. So you'll be in touch with your feelings and your hunches. And that means new intuitive feelings can fire up, because Aries is the first sign. They're really exciting in terms of the energy moving faster in terms of implementation. And you'll also be more efficient and to the point when receiving and sharing your intuitive downloads, your insights. Neptune will also move a little faster in Aries. Of course, it won't be meandering as much as it does in its home sign of Pisces, which it was in from 2011 until 2025. And at the same time, Neptune will also slow the tempo down a little bit to integrate the energy of Aries, to help you be more aware of what it is you really want before you take that Aries courage and move forward, making sure it's a good fit for you. So you're going to feel more independent about your spiritual life with Neptune moving into Aries now for 14 years. Neptune removes boundaries. Neptune dissolves. This is Piscean watery energy. So you're going to feel more confident about things that are indescribable, about what feels right to you and what does not feel right. And that's really a key, because Aries on its own does tend to be more headstrong, but with Neptune in there, the heart engages. And Neptune is always seeking energies that are in harmony with each other, that are aligned to each other. Now, another part of Aries is it is a leadership sign. It is the first sign of the zodiac. It takes the lead. And that means with Neptune in Aries, that spiritual leadership will be fired up. It will be more prevalent. And you may be the first in your general group or environment to move forward on that level and receive that leadership recognition, that spiritual level leadership recognition. Neptune can also bring self-doubt, so just be aware of that side of Neptune. And the good thing is that Aries will always bring you back to tune into your inner confidence. You know, self-doubt is absolutely normal. It is a way for us to take stock of a situation, to become more self-aware, to take a time out, or not necessarily a time out, but to really tune in and take time. Neptune is also very compassionate. So you're going to direct your energy, because Aries likes to go directly to the source or to the goal. You're going to direct your compassion in a specific way. It's going to be more clear. And that means that your free will be engaged a lot more. You're going to be asked to make decisions about where to or how to use your energy in a way that brings change, that motivates others, that helps them grow and feel more courageous. You're being invited, in other words, to forge ahead with loving leadership. So this will be a new way of living on Earth, where leadership is not necessarily seen as competitive or as a person who's above another in a Capricornian way. Remember, Pluto was in Capricorn for so long, and there was really a recognition that top-down leadership isn't always the best way. There's other ways to motivate people and not put them below or above. Right? So the other thing about Neptune and Aries, with this energy, new artistic creations that are more beautiful will uplift others. They will bring inspiration and motivation. Neptune is the planet of dreams, the planet of spirituality, and the planet of illusions. So that's the shadow side. Every sign and planet has a very positive expression and a shadow expression, and the shadow expression helps us grow. So illusion in moving towards your goal, Aries, will help you identify much more quickly in this sign when something is just a pipe dream, or maybe motivated by not everyone is receiving what's for their highest good. So that's something to just be aware of. Now, Neptune spends about 14 years in each zodiac sign, and it takes about 165 years to complete its orbit around the sun. The last time Neptune was in Pisces was 2011, as I mentioned earlier, and the last time Neptune entered Aries was on April 13th, 1861. This was one day after the American Civil War began. Now, that time was quite a different story astrologically as a whole, because we have to always look at the full picture. What we have going for us now is that all the outer planets are moving into 0 degrees of new signs within a few months. Pluto began the end of November last year, and now it's Neptune. Next is Saturn in May. Then in June is Jupiter, and then in July is Uranus. And this is such a rare event, we don't have a record of it in history of ever happening before. It's all happening this year. Aside from Pluto at the end of 2024, it's all happening this year. This will be different. So it's really important for all of us to tune into the Neptune and Aries energy together in a deeply spiritual way, to be the sacred warrior, the spiritual warrior. And that's what we're being asked to do. Maybe that means being more vocal. It could mean you feeling just stronger in your spiritual service. But whatever the case may be, we are helping others to step into a much more conscious and confident sense of being a spiritual being. And to help with that, as I mentioned at the beginning, Venus has an incredible connection to Neptune, and it actually begins on March 22nd. Now, I'm recording this on March 21st, and Venus then evolves. Venus is having a major moment right now. Venus is retrograde, as you probably realize, started March 1st, ends April 12th. But on March 22nd, Venus retrograde will be conjunct the sun, and that creates what's called a Venus star point, and it takes Venus out of view for several days. Venus is changing from an evening star to a morning star. Now, what is significant is Venus and Neptune both govern love. Venus is human love, Neptune is unconditional, universal love. And on May 2nd, after Venus stations direct on April 12th, it will move back through Pisces to 0 degrees Aries for the first time in over 156 years. It will be conjunct Neptune at 0 degrees Aries. So this is also happening, and that means that Venus is helping Neptune's new birth in Aries, 0 degrees, to be much more aligned with beauty, because the Venus star point just happened, and then Venus moves from her retrograde direct and joins Aries in this beautiful marriage. So it's a huge development also for Venus. And because both govern music, creativity, the arts, beauty, and love, you're being made aware of any areas in your life that you want to be more creative, more inspired, more delighted, to feel and find more beauty in your life. Areas that maybe prior to now you didn't pay attention to or resisted creating in a harmonious way. Just imagine this beautiful Venus, divine feminine energy, and Neptune, which are now intermingling, coming together in the next couple months in this extraordinary way, just as this pivot that historically has never before been recorded in history between the outer planets is happening at the same time. And to feel beauty, of course, to feel love, to feel creativity, which is so important and in a way very much missing in this fast-paced life that so many engage in, especially being on devices. Beauty is taken in a sense of peace and stillness. It's observation and it's listening. And your surroundings make a big difference. If you live in an area that is more noisy or that doesn't have nature, it does impact you. If you live in an area that just energetically, your home, your office, your studio, energetically isn't quite right, or the area, the actual town or city isn't a good fit, that also is connected to Neptune and Venus, bringing harmony into your life, paying attention to energy and frequency. So it's important to live in a home environment that supports you, that supports your light, especially with all these changes. So if you feel with all this shift energy from the 9, the endings, to the new beginnings, like you want to travel or move either locally or to a brand new area of the world, it's very important to first know your own personal astrocartography. Because as you probably realize, you feel better in certain locations than others, more relaxed, you feel supported, and then there are other areas you don't feel that way. And fortunately, your personal astrocartography map explains why. So I have a free masterclass that you can watch, Astrocartography, the Power of Fortunate Places. It's all about the overlay of an astrology birth chart on the earth and what that means to you. So we cover the secret power of place. We cover the 5 critical components that make up your profile in astrocartography, which impacts your career, your relationships, abundance and financial flow, health, family, and friends. And we have so many wonderful celebrity astrocartography examples, which are really fun and really helpful to show you how this incredible science of an astrology birth chart overlay on the earth map works. So enjoy that at positivelocations.com. Have an incredible week. It's big. And I will see you in next week's Star Codes podcast. Lots of love.